Back on my rock. Hey everybody. So I put up a video that maybe some of you watching this haven't seen because it's unlisted, and I only posted the URL behind the paywall over on Patreon. It was a very personal video. I was in a very bad place emotionally when I made it, so it was not for public consumption really. But it was for the, very small public of people who support me on Patreon. I'll put this one up, for everybody, because I think it's a topic that is, it's probably relevant to a lot of people's lives. First, a piece of feedback from that other video. This is from Bob. I don't have it in front of me, but he says something to the effect of, condolences on having a bad time, but I just don't understand these long-distance relationships. Well, do you understand why a straight man might have gay sex in prison? Do you understand why somebody without a romantic partner might develop strong feelings to somebody that they've been sending letters back and forth with, on paper in the days before electronic communication, where there's weeks or months that pass between notes? We take what we can get. So, Bob, you are better positioned financially than I am, and you also live in a part of the country that is densely populated. I've had two long-distance relationships. One, when I was living, it started anyway, when I was living in a small town in Vermont, and I had been dating somebody there who is a very social creature and who knew all of the attractive, women in town, and didn't want me to date any of her friends. Now, what power does she have to, prevent me? She has their ears, so... and it was during COVID, and I was going crazy with isolation and loneliness, and I used a dating app, and I talked to a whole bunch of different women in the Philippines. So shouts out to YouTubers like Filipina P and Rike, who are, people whose videos I've watched extensively. Talked to, I don't know, about 30 women, and finally, connected with one that really worked for me. And we were together for 2 years, but I never did get it financially together to get over there, and eventually she broke up with me. I didn't seek the second one. The second one just kind of dropped into my lap out of nowhere at an odd time. Like, I hadn't been broken up with Rose, my Filipino girlfriend, for very long. Still had great affection for her, though I wasn't trying to reestablish the relationship. And this new one, it got intense very quickly, and then it burned out. And it just happened to break when I was at my sickest with COVID in a very unpleasant circumstance, and I didn't deal with it well for a few days. So what's wrong with online relationships or, long-distance relationships? Obvious. It's obvious. You can't have sex. You can't touch. You can't hug. You can't kiss. There is no physicality that is shared. There is no, there's no pheromonal response. You can't smell the other person. The drawbacks are, they're obvious. What are the advantages? Well, for me, I don't want to compare it to gay sex in prison, even though I already have. But for me, the benefits are, particularly with WhatsApp. WhatsApp is really good at simulating eye contact. You're just looking at the face of the other person, but if your phone camera is centered in the middle of your phone at the top or the bottom, probably at the top, it really looks like you're looking into the other person's eyes and they're looking into yours. And another good thing about this interface for me is that with the lack of touch, well, how do you make up for it? What fills the gap? Speech. I'm good at talking. And I like to connect with other people who are good at talking. I'm a podcaster. I've been interviewing people for 16 years. I have been interviewing people who are kind of famous, rather accomplished. And so I have to be able to put myself at ease to talk to them. So that's a skill that I have. I can do that. Some of the people I talk to have never been interviewed before. They've never been, they've never done anything broadcast related or, publicly accessible, and they're nervous. So I have a separate skill set, which is sort of similar, and that I know how to set them at ease. So part of setting them at ease is just setting myself at ease, and I have a lot of practice at that. So the medium of the WhatsApp call, the video call, is one that it facilitates emotional bonding. It facilitates getting to know somebody. And I think if you don't depend on it for too long, it could be a good start, and way, way better than dating apps. I mean, dating apps are deliberately designed to waste your fucking time. If you're a man, don't. If you're Bob and you live in a high density corridor with thousands upon thousands of available, potential mates, maybe that would work for you. But if you live in a rural area, if you live, far from population densities and your choices are few, I mean, for me in particular, I'm kind of a weirdo. You know that I'm kind of a weirdo. For me in particular, the pool of people that I'm really going to connect with, emotionally, romantically, is pretty small. And, add in my fucked up financial situation, the security that a relationship with a man for a heterosexual is supposed to bring, heterosexual woman, I don't offer it. I don't have it to offer. All I can offer is conversation, if we're present together, sex, and if they're willing to live the way I do, which is to, travel on the cheap and rely on the kindness of a network of people that I've been talking to via the podcast for a decade and a half, staying at people's houses, things like that. It's pretty cool. I was with my girlfriend Olga for 5 years. We did several road trips like that, staying with people that I'd never met. I'd never met them until the day that I rolled up in my truck at their house and they opened the door and they're feeling kind of nervous because they're meeting KMO. It's absurd. I'm, in their minds, some sort of celebrity. It's the parasocial relationship. But I'm some broke dude traveling across the country in an old beat-up pickup truck. But they're nervous. But within a few minutes of me arriving, again, I know how to put people at ease. And again, it's mostly by just being at ease myself. And so it works. But the thing is, my potential mates, my potential matches are far-flung, few and far between. And I would rather be alone than be with the wrong person. To the point where maybe I've done myself, harm by extended periods of isolation. So it goes. So, point being, and maybe this is a bit more than I'd planned to say on this topic, I'm going to do another video that's more sort of just, reporting on where I am, and I'm going to put that one behind the paywall. But this I'm going to put out in public. I don't have a succinct verdict on the long-distance relationship. I don't want to do them. They're certainly not my first choice. It's like cryogenics. It's like getting frozen after you're dead. The cryogenics people say that's the second worst thing that can happen to you. The first being you die without being frozen. Because there is no guarantee that medical science is going to bring you back. There's no guarantee that your finances, whatever arrangements you've made. Well, let's not do a video. Let's not segue into cryonics. Long-distance relationships, particularly in the current era of the smartphone and WhatsApp and simulated eye contact, it has a lot to offer. Just, from me, from my perspective, if I'm talking to myself, the lesson is, get your shit together and close the physical distance ASAP. Well, there's no rushing it. There is no rushing it. ASAP is, the end of the ski season. Unless I meet somebody here. But I'm not looking for anybody here. I work crazy hours and I work nights. And here's my resolution. This is for me. I have, a free lift pass. I get free ski lessons, free snowboarding lessons, free rentals. I can ski for free. People come here and spend a shit ton of money to do what I get to do for free as a benefit of this job. I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to do that. That's going to be my focus outside of work, which, work is 12 hours a day sometimes, and sometimes more, and sometimes a little less, but never much less. So I don't have a huge amount of time in which to do this. It just so happens, though, that the ski slope is where I work. So, that's handy. Anyway, this is Turning Personal. Final verdict on the long distance relationship. Kind of like cryonics. It's the second worst thing. Worst thing is being alone. Or for me, being with somebody that is not the right person, but you settle because you don't want to be alone. All right. Talk to you soon.